Okay, what we're going to learn today is how to use an architectural scale. It is not a ruler. It's not something that you even use as a straight edge to draw lines with. It is there to draw a line to a specific length. And I have to draw them on a piece of paper that I have the size of. So I can change the scale of the drawing. Okay? So if you look, we already talked about the 16th. If you'll look at the end of some of those other scales, we'll have like 3/16, 3/32, 1/8 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/4, 1 inch. So there's all kinds of different scales on your scale. It just allows us to draw things bigger or smaller as we need them to get them to fit on a piece of paper. Okay? So I want you to find on your scale the 1 inch scale. It's not the 16, it's 1 inch. Now we're looking at scales that do this. 1 inch is going to equal a foot. That's what that means, that 1. Right across from the 1 on mine is 1/4 inch, so it'd be 1/4 inch equals a foot, and we'll get to that one in a minute. So if I or Angie say, you know, let's draw something at 1/4 inch scale, you're going to find your scale and you're going to use the 1/4 inch scale to draw it at. Okay? I want to start at the 1 inch scale. Now, if 1 inch equals a foot, then all these little marks that are in there, all these tiny little marks, instead of representing 1/16 of an inch, represent inches. So instead of 16 marks from 1 to another, there's 12. 12 inches in a foot, right? Okay? So 0, the biggest mark, that's halfway to a foot, so that'd be 6 inches. That one would be 3. That would be 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch. What do you think that line would be? 1/2 inch. What's half of a 1/2 inch? 1/4 inch. So the tiniest little mark on this scale is a 1/4 inch. So we kind of do the same thing that we did on the full scale. It's easy to find halfway, but our numbers now, notice, they say 6. That's not 6 inches, that's not 6/16. That's 6 inches. Okay? So if I draw a line now, a certain distance, and I use the same thing. I take my scale and one end, I put the 0 on. And I read across. So how long is this line at 1 inch scale? 7 inches is the right answer. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay? I want you to draw me a line on your piece of paper. Top left corner, we're going to draw lots of lines today. That is 1 foot, 4 inches long. You take your scale. I'm going to make a mark at, I know 1 foot, so I know I can put a little dot where the 1 is. And I know I go this way, that's a full foot. Where's 4 inches? The biggest tick past the 3. So that would be a line 1 foot, 4 inches long. Draw me a line that's 10 1/2 inches long. Now I can start at the 0. I can find the 10.5. So I know there's 9 inches, 10 inches, and a half more. And I put little dots where I want my lines to begin and end. Because as our scales get smaller, those little ticks get closer and closer and closer together. So that one is 10.5 inches. So just to show you that a 1-inch square or 1-inch scale equals a foot, I'm going to draw a line that's a foot long. Doesn't matter. I can use there. Now if I flip my scale over, it's exactly an inch long. So they do have, it is a scale that develops a relationship between things. Okay? Practice one more on this one. I'd like you to draw me a line 5 feet, 2 inches long. 5 feet, 2 inches long. Okay? Get my scale sitting there. I'll zoom out a little more so you can see my whole scale. Start where 5 is. Put a little dot. Come down to the other end so I can read inches and go 1, 2. Now I've got a line 5 foot 2 inches long. Is anybody having any difficulty with that? This is just a lot of practice. And to practice, to get ready for the quiz, probably the best thing you can do is just on a piece of paper, draw a bunch of different lines. Set your scale on it and say how long the line is. Rotate your scale around to a different scale. How long is the line there? Okay? So doing this in class, if you do not practice it before tonight, you'll forget it. And then a week later, oh, you'll be in rough shape. So practice, practice. This is easy to practice. Okay? Let's change our scale then to a half-inch scale. Okay? Half-inch scale. I'll review the end. Okay? So when we're on this half inch, we notice the 0 is up high. So I'm not using that. I'm going 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? And this end represents inches. There's probably somewhere on there that are 12 marks. Well, I know halfway is what? 6 inches? Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So each one of those marks is an inch. So if I ask you to draw me a line 3 inches long at half-inch scale, put a dot at 0 and a dot at 3. I connect the points. I have a line that's 3 inches long at half-inch scale. How about a line that's 2 feet, 2 feet, 9 inches. 2 feet. That's a foot mark. Okay? And put a dot at this 2. And go down and find my 9-inch mark. And that line would be 2 foot 9 inches long. Starting to see a pattern here? How to read this, especially how to read this end. These mark off foot as they go this way. This is the only way you can get a fraction of a foot. Now we can get big giant scales like 3 inches equals a foot. So if I was writing this one, I'd put 3 inches equals 1 foot. So now, wow, I can measure little bitty divisions in this one, can't I? So I could ask you to, in a 3-inch equals a foot scale, to find me a line that's 3.5 inches long. You can do that. Start 0, go to 3. Oh, now the hard part. Where's the ½ inch mark? So that's 3, 4, 5, 6. So halfway between there and there, that's 4, so halfway's there. So it's that mark. You can use all kinds of ways to find that. The most common scale that interior design, and probably architects too, will use, is either the 1/8 inch or the 1/4 inch. Because at 1/8 inch, I could draw a building, if I just wanted to draw a building as long as my scale is. If I started at 0, what's the longest line I could draw at an 1/8 inch? 92, 93 maybe. That's a big building. How long a building can I draw at 1/4 inch scale? If I use just my scale, I can't go longer. So I can go down to 46. Again, if I take it and draw a line that's 1 foot long at 1/4 inch scale, and I went over to my full scale, how long is that line? If it's a 1/4 inch scale, it will be 1/4 inch long. If it's an 1/8 inch scale, how long would the line be if I drew it a foot long line, if it's at full scale? 1/8 inch. Okay? So draw me a line that's 4 foot 6 inches long at 1/4 inch scale. Start at 4, put a dot, go down and find my inches. 6 inches is half of a foot, so that's the middle line. So 4 foot 6 inches long. That's how long that line would be. So in our 15 minutes, 10 minutes, you've learned how to draw a building, learn the basics to draw any building anywhere in the world, to whatever scale you want. A real practical thing, if you take your piece of paper and fold it in half, here's the practical part of the scale. I'm going to fold it in half. Long way, that way. So this is my piece of paper. And I'm trying to draw a room that's 45 feet by 30 feet. How big a scale can I use? I want to always use the biggest scale I can use, because it's easier to draw on the bigger scale. So I've got to find a scale that when I try to draw the room this way, I'm going to try to fill up the whole piece of paper. So that line here has to be 45 feet long. So I can set my scale down. Mine happens to be on 1/4 inch. Can I draw a 45 foot long? Nope. I got to go smaller than 1/4 inch. Can I do 3/16? Oh, just short, huh? Okay, that means I probably have to go to 1/8. 1/8, I can draw a 45 foot long line, right? So depending on the size of paper, I could have a giant sized piece of paper and draw a 300 foot long building at 1/8 inch scale. Okay? So that's the scale. So that's how we measure things. And it requires us not to be about 4 foot 6 inches long. If you ask someone to build you something, you want it 4 foot 6 inches long, right? So we've got to get it in our thoughts that we can't be kind of close. We have to have it exactly that long. So a little bit of a change of thought for some. If you've never built anything in your life, you will quickly learn that close doesn't count. It can't be too long and it can't be too short. Luckily, if it's too long, you can cut a little more off and make it the right size. But there's nothing in the world called a board stretcher that if you cut it a 1/4 inch too short, you can't stretch that board a 1/4 more inch and make it work. You throw it away or use it somewhere else. So it is very important that you start thinking about, when I want to draw a line a certain length, it's got to be that exact length. And it really gets tough when you start thinking about, well, look at that 1/8 inch scale. And I've got to put a dot right on 4 inches. I want to draw a 4 inch line. The difference of a line, a thickness of your lead, is 2 inches. So you got to be real exact here. Next year you'll get to computers and it'll help solve some of that problem. But they require everything to be perfectly exact. Humans can't be, but we can be really close. Okay, enough on the scales.